Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Tiny Bubbles over here on Silent Podcast, where we are anything but silent. We are recapping episode 5 of The Mole for you today. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host JD, and
Hello.
as I have been touting all over the internet, aka Twitter, and maybe 1 to 2 Discord channels, the Netflix crossover event of the century, we have Alex. Oh my God, is it good that I've forgotten your catfish's name?
Yes, it definitely is.
I'm
No,
like,
I go
this
by
will make
Nate
him
in these
happy.
circle streets.
Yes, I just blanked on it. If you've listened to any of the prior episodes, it takes me a second to say Cassie's name correctly. So me forgetting Nate, very on brand, but he doesn't exist anymore to us
Yeah.
anyway. We
Yeah.
have Alex, who you may know from The Circle, and he is here to talk with us about this episode as well. So, Alex, first of all, thanks for joining us. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing so well. I have been riding the high of just Netflix revamping The Mole. Literally ever since I even just found the article, I've just been coasting on that high. I love The Mole. It was a show that I watched season 1 and season 2 of when I was very young, like a long time ago, completely fell off, revisited maybe like 3-4 years ago and watched the celebrity version, watched it all. And I'm just such a Mole fan that I have, and I know some old fans have their gripes, but I have loved this Netflix rendition. I'm not even paid by Netflix. I got no affiliation to them anymore. I'm not trying to be biased. I'm just here to support another Netflix reality show that's not about dating, and I think they've really hit this one out of the park, in my opinion.
Okay, first of all, whoever is saying these negative things, I want to say it to me, and I would invite you to, because I will gladly fight you in my mentions. But two, if you would you have applied for the mole if you knew it was coming back? Would you have held out for the mole? Do you think you have a chance of being on the mole season 2? You know how Netflix
Um,
loves to cross over their
yeah.
people.
Hey, great question. I would, that's a good question. I don't know. I would have held out for anything. Maybe if I knew and they were like,
Mhm.
hey, it's like a guaranteed spot, maybe I would have considered it then. But like the circle was like, it was right there. It was presented to
Yeah.
me. It'd be hard to pass that
Yeah.
up. I do love the mole. So that being said, they'll definitely probably see my application, the next couple seasons they do it. So never say never. Hopefully they're looking for a crossover event like yourself. But I just, as a lover of games, the mole is like everything I want. It's like a team project, but an individual game. And there's money, there's deception, there's lying, there's some physical parts to it, there's some mental parts to it. Just what more could you ask for in a reality TV show?
I have no answer to that. There's
Yeah.
nothing you can ask
I
for.
got nothing for
So
you.
yeah, I too have loved this show since 2001, and I've told so many people about it every day. I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, you're looking for a show to watch? Like, let me tell you.
Yeah. I agree.
um, no, go ahead, Alex.
I was gonna say I've been recommending it to people that don't even aren't in my reality TV sphere. I'm like, oh, you
Yeah.
want something to watch? You should check out The Mole. It's really hype. I really like what they've done with this season. Really think the only complaints I've seen are a lot of people who are like, well, back in my day, they didn't have a cell phone and they were showing yeah, whatever. I like it. I personally think they have taken a great game and brought it into the 21st century, which
Absolutely.
I don't know. I have really high praise. That's good. I'm going to be a broken record this whole time. I think Netflix nailed its casting. I think they've really done this editing. And, while even my own show is guilty of this, the cliffhangers sometimes can be just like hair, like ripping out. They get me. I'm watching the next episode right after, you were saying you had not binged them, that you were watching them as you were podcasting them.
hmm
And I said,
Mhm.
more strength to you two, because I could not stop once I started.
It
It
was
was
tough.
hard.
It was
Yes.
tough.
I'm sure.
If that alone doesn't show the fortitude that we have to be on the mole, then I don't know what does. We
Yeah.
stopped at cliffhangers.
Yeah.
I don't know how. And I'm even guilty of with past seasons of The Circle is they end on the cliffhanger and I'm like, okay, I'll watch the first 10 minutes. Like I like finish the episode myself, if that makes sense.
You
I'm like,
decide where
okay.
the episode ends.
Exactly, yeah. And so if I didn't have so much free time this weekend, that's the other thing. I actually thought it was pretty interesting they released it on a Friday. I was a fan of that as well. I got to finish it all weekend, and so I thought that was a good way to spend my weekend.
It definitely felt like they set it up as like a weekend binge.
Yeah, it worked, but they got me good. They got me. It consumed my whole weekend.
Yeah, the amount of mole hours that JD and I have put in between watching. I think, JD, how many times have you rewatched episodes? I know I've rewatched at least 2 of them.
Every episode at least once.
But
yeah,
there's so
and
much
then
to
podcasting.
Yeah, they're really dense. There's a lot that happens, and I think that's what I like. And so, not to name names, but the few of the players that I've actually talked to in passing, they're like, man, it's crazy because the episodes are so dense, but yet there's still so much like on that cutting room floor. And I was like, thus is the nature of reality TV when you're on camera, majority of the day. But I just, like you said, I think there is so much that's happening in each episode. I feel so full after I watch every single one. I'm like, that was everything I needed in a reality TV show right now. It's really good. I can't wait to. So you guys have been putting a lot of work into this. You guys think you know who the mole is? Well, I'm sure we'll get into this. I was going to ask a question.
We'll definitely get
we're like 5 minutes in. We'll get there.
We always end each episode with asking who do you think the mole is, and it usually ends up being like a top 2 or 3. So I promise you that we will get to have a full-on conversation about who the mole is, because I mean, especially now, if you're following JD on Twitter, he bookmarked his mole. He has his mole pick.
Yeah,
I was curious if you're still sticking with it.
See, okay, so we could talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, let's
I'm becoming increasingly more convinced that Joy is the mole. I don't know if it's because Kari's just poisoned me. Like, there was a plane in episode 1. Joy is a pilot. And like it continues into this episode where Joy is just so blatant with all of her like sabotages, where it's kind of circling back to becoming suspicious again.
Yeah.
And like if she's like 4 5D chessing it, like all the props to her. And I would honestly like to kind of see it happen. I don't know.
It would be so exciting because, like you said, she's almost ruled herself out by being so obvious, and then it circles back around. So I have, as you guys are aware of, orgs. I've played an online reality game of the mole one time, and the reverse psychology gets into like that friends of like, well, if they know that we know that they know. And I think the show's doing a pretty good job of like balancing that for like the huge heavy-handed gamers and like the casual audience, because we do get that sense of, there's the Greg and Avery who are like, you know what, I need to work to try to throw these people off. It can only benefit me. But then there's the Joy. Joy is not like verbalizing that, but that's what she's doing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know it wasn't this episode. $25,000. I screamed. I legit let out a scream. I was like, what? I was like, that's all
my
their
jaw
money.
dropped.
Yeah, it's like, that's all their money. Oh, and then obviously we'll get to the end of the episode, but just so Joy is one of the huge highlights in this show to me so far. I love
Joy. Is brilliant.
Yeah, I've like you said, done a full circle with her though. Whereas I was like, what is she doing? And now I'm like, no, she's the best.
I am convinced that if Joy is not the mole, she is a little confused and thinks that she is on Whose Line Is It Anyway, where the points don't matter, except the points are dollars. Like, she just wants the bragging rights of winning. That's it. That has to be it.
You need someone like that in the game, though. Someone who's like, I'm burning it all down so I win. Yeah, I'll take home my $100.
Yeah, I'm leaving with like a $50 Visa gift card. Sick. At least I won. And that's what I'm convinced of. If she isn't the mole, she thinks she's on Whose Line, because
although
there's no other explanation. There's literally no other explanation for it.
Honestly, yeah.
I want to give her credit though, because she said the only thing she said in her. They're like, "Why would you do this?" She goes, "We'll win it back." I do like to believe though that these reality shows, they're not gonna let them walk away, at least with like only like 3,000. Like the final challenge then would be like, this is worth 50,000 or something crazy. I do think she's onto something in the fact that she's like, we can win more. Like, don't worry about it, y'all. Even though they're all like fuming, stomping around, like screaming, she's like, chill.
It's like on Wheel of Fortune when you like finish with less than $1,000. They're like, we bump you up to this. Like this will cover your flights there and back, because as Greg said, they don't even have enough money to fly back to America.
Like for one person.
Yeah, for the money they don't have in the pot right now.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's so good. So yeah, it definitely could be Joy. I guess I'm trying to figure out like, how much, obviously the show wants us to be surprised, but they obviously they can't have it be like an out of left field surprise.
Right. Like it can't spend an entire episode explaining like every single thing that the mole's done.
Exactly. You know? And so, gosh, and it's just going to make it so much better when we rewatch it. It's like, what of these like bonehead moves are purposeful and like strategic and masterful? I'm really excited to see that back, because like I said, we've only seen that from Greg and Avery a bit. I need to see which one of these other goons is messing things up, but it's actually on purpose.
Right. Yeah, the mole has the rewatchability in the fact that you get to watch an entirely different version of the show when you watch it the second time, when you know who the mole is. And that is such a cool component of it as well, that like I had said on a previous podcast, I don't want the season to end because I'm enjoying it so much. I love getting to talk about it. It is thrilling, it is exciting. However, I need to know, and I want to rewatch, and I want to see who the mole is, and I want to watch it from that perspective. And so I'm just like, I want it to be over, but I want to savor like every single second in the process of getting there.
I totally get that.
Like I can't wait to get to the destination, but the journey has been a hell of a ride so far.
Is it like a 7-mile run that you might have to take?
We could get
that is quite exhausting. I don't know if I could hang on for that.
You know what, guys? The 7-mile run seems the hardest. Maybe we should put 3 people on that one, and we'll do the car. The one where you're just like actually sitting and not doing anything. We'll just have 2 people do that one.
Yeah, we'll just.
I hate myself for not thinking that until right now.
I screamed. They like said it on the show too. Someone was like, "Oh, well, since it's the easiest, we'll have 2 people do that one." And I go, "Huh? In what world does that make sense?"
Especially if you're Avery and you're
how like, did she not say,
I'll do whatever. Like, wait, there's another spot in the car. I think I'll take that one. I'll buckle up. Thank you.
Although, is Avery playing just the most masterful mole game? Did she know those bikes were going to be there? Did she know, I'm going to have to slow us down. Oh, guys, we're out of time. We have to take these bikes. Avery, this is what I love about this goddamn show, is as soon as I rule someone out, 30 minutes later, I'm like,
yeah, they do something to like bring you right back in.
Like, wait, could it be them? I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, it's really good. And I think the one thing I need to remember is I always view the mole as just like a player like everyone else, but the mole has production insight. They know what's coming, what's going to happen. They have a plan. And I think when you start to look at it from that lens more, you can start to gauge what feels like an actual boneheaded move versus something maybe someone did more strategically with a little more intent.
Like it is to the idea that the show is phenomenal. Like done such a good job. And okay, let's get into episode 5. We've touched on some things, but we have a very important cliffhanger we need to establish here, or like a central resolution to. The end of episode 4, we have Alex saying, "All right, do you want to know how much money is in the bag?" And obviously the episode ends. If you are normal, you watched the next episode right then and there. If you are JD and I, you waited. And so we are sitting here just like, did they do it? I mean, JD and I both said yesterday, we absolutely did not think that they pulled this off.
Oh my God, you guys I believed. I was like,
really?
I did. I fell for it. Because the other team failed so colossally. I feel like that's kind of been the trend when there's like 2 teams or
that
even
is true,
3.
yeah.
Like one succeeds and one does terrible. And so they got the failure out of the way. And I was like, they're going to get it. Or Or I was expecting her to be like, it's $10,002. And then
I was
she was
expecting
like,
it to be close. Yeah.
she was like 10,304. I was like, oh, wait, what?
Yeah, they were off by $678.
Yeah, nearly
I
$700.
couldn't believe that. So to me, though, I think that means someone sabotaged that. And they showed
For
us as to who they want us to believe it was. But I beg the question, is he just dumb? I've had to count money in stacks before, and you will make mistakes, especially if you're in a high pressure situation. Or was he doing this on purpose?
That's a great question that I haven't really considered.
Even if he's not the mole, he could be doing it as like
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we kind of talked about this with Matthew yesterday, but we don't really see Avery correcting Jacob's mistakes either. Like she says, oh, Jacob's making all these mistakes or Jacob's trying to sabotage, but we don't really hear what she's doing about it. So it could be like just pure human error on Jacob's side, or it could just be like subtle attempts at throwing the competition.
They play the card game bullshit, and you're like, oh, 3 4s. We actually put a 4th card in. Like Jacob was doing that, counting money, just slided in those extra ones, and
like this one has Avery, 49. This one's 51.
Yeah. For Avery to catch it, and then I thought that she was fixing the mistakes, but then this episode made it seem like she just let the mistakes happen.
Which is wild because on her end, you almost want to just fix it so you get the money and like keep that info to yourself. I do wonder if there was also, I am kind of blanking. It was Avery, Jacob, and was it Sandy? That was with them?
It was Sandy.
It was Sandy. Okay. And so Sandy and Pranav had the disconnect where he was like, just to make sure you're talking 500,000, right? And she goes, no, I'm talking 50,000. So I do wonder if it was maybe that threw them off, and maybe she did correct Jacob, because this is the other thing. This is the only reason I feel like it was human error is it's like, if you're going to throw, why would you mess it up on the American money? The most easily, like you have all these conversions and other things you can mess up so easily. I genuinely think he just made a mistake.
I think I'm starting to lean towards human error as well, at least on Jacob's end.
Yeah.
If he isn't the mole.
If he isn't the mole.
If he isn't the mole.
He was one I didn't suspect for a long time. And then as soon as any suspicion came up, I was like, oh my God. I was like, wait a minute. I felt like a genius. But that's how they get me, is that, I don't assume someone, then one thing happens.
I don't know. He kind of aided Joy in being shady this episode as well.
Absolutely.
Plus, Jacob has the sass of the mole. His little quips at people and his batitude. To me, like if I was a mole, I'd be a little snippy too, because I'm not getting rid of me. So here I am. Go ahead, talk your shit. I'll talk it bigger back. So Jacob has a little bit of an attitude, but I think that even if you try to sabotage, like it's just so easy to accidentally do it because of the counting. Like Alex said, counting money is hard in stacks like that. For it to be exact, no way.
Yeah, I do think there are moments, especially like you said, with his Joy ride with Joy in the car.
Oh, nice.
I'll be honest, I just came up with that. I didn't even plan that. So that I was like, oh, I think he wants everyone to think Joy's the one that messed this up, when he 100%, he's driving past and he's like, should I turn back? Should I not?
Yeah.
I was like, dude, you just need to do something. You can't just stop here and like, oh, but should I turn around? Because then guess what? They were off by like freaking 18 seconds.
Yeah, it was close.
He's thrown up red flags specifically in these last 2 episodes to me, whereas he wasn't before, which makes it even more like alarming, as I was like, I didn't even consider him.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of people who just had this gut feeling about him. He's someone that I could see, like, he is. Either way, I'm not going to be surprised if he is or isn't the mole, because he just has some mole tendencies to him.
I agree.
So, not to get off track again, but this is going to be a fun question. Who do you think at this point you would be the most shocked revealing themselves as the mole?
Casey.
Will.
Oh, Casey. I would say Will's mine. Will was the one because Will, I think, has kind of fallen into that Dom role for me where he's like, I'll do anything to win at this point. And I mean, I actually think this is the moment I was hooked on the show is at the end of episode 1 when they show Will taking the bag of money. And I was like, he was the one that was looking for it. So I was just like, I was gagged in that moment. I was literally like, are you kidding me? And then they show the whole secret mission. This is what I'm saying is I think they've really nailed the editing. This go about is just between like the suspicion and like that playback of that. So Will, I think, would be the one I'm most shocked about. I actually have a friend of mine who is convinced Casey is the mole and is like letting everyone else do the sabotaging because they're all so paranoid.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, I could see that for Casey, but she hasn't done anything that like I've flagged as like anything like remotely mole-ish. Like
I wouldn't be able to
like
point
pretty
to
straightforward.
I wouldn't be able to point to a single thing.
2 things.
Go for it.
One, when Greg told her, go get everybody so that we can all say hello at the same time.
Right.
That was
a big blunder.
Yeah. And then 2, Sandy brought up, like, why would we bring Dom back? Sandy initiated the conversation, the first person to back her up. And if I'm a mole, that's where I'm sitting. I'm in the second or third agreement spot. That was Casey. Casey was the next person to be like, yeah. Otherwise, if Casey is the mole, everybody else is doing her job for her. Like, she can just like, hey, Joy, keep doing your thing. Like, you're crushing my job right now.
It's Casey. I've been fully convinced. This is the problem, though, is that there's so much like proof and evidence and things we can point to be like, wait, but this. And I said this before, Netflix nailed the casting here in the fact that they got very unique people. They got a nice, diverse cast. But these people, I haven't like identified one person that I'd be like, oh, they're kind of on the dumb side. These people are all very smart and they seem like there's no one here that I feel like doesn't understand the game at hand, which in reality TV can sometimes be almost like a trope. The person who's like, what's going on here? Like Chicken George or like, you know, like some, I can't think of another example off the top of my head, but there's always someone there like who's like, I don't know the game that we're playing.
See, that was Dom for me. I just felt like he didn't get it. Like he was trying his best because he clearly wasn't the mole, but he didn't have the like correct insight on what a mole might try to do to be a mole. Where I feel like he just felt that a mole would act in the way Joy would, which like, let's make this bank be 0 versus let's slow the team down. We can cut our prize in half by using the hint. Like that's still sabotage. Things like that, where I think Dom thought if there is a single cent in this pot, then the mole is like failing.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I didn't think about it from that perspective. I really liked Dom in the sense that I just thought, I guess, you know, now that you're maybe convincing me a little bit, I liked where his head was at in the game, where he was, because in a game of deception like this, there is a good role for someone to be like, I am playing this straight up, like you can trust me type deal.
You make yourself really valuable that way.
Yeah,
exactly. Yes, I felt like he was very valuable, and that's why his elimination was such a shock. Is I think a lot of people really were like, well, at least we know it's not Dom. Like, you know what I mean? They're like, well, we're pretty sure it's not Dom. I know we're going a few episodes back here. Were you guys shocked they did not let him back in the game?
Once I heard the logic behind it, no.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of where I was. So in the moment when it was presented to me, I was like, why would you not bring back someone that's confirmed not the mole? Like, you can trust this person indubitably. But then literally once Sandy started explaining it, like he has info we don't have, like this, that, whatever. I was like, oh, shit. I was like, they convinced me in real time. So I was one where I was like, why wouldn't you bring him back? And I know there's some people that are still feeling like that was not a smart move, but I actually think that was probably the correct thing, like from a competitive nature to do.
I personally think that with Joy correctly guessing who read the dossiers and bidding so much money, she has this isn't even a joke. I know that I've made a lot of Joy comments. This is something serious right now. Joy has changed the trajectory of this game. Because of that decision, I think everyone went from I can like do things for the team if it's like a decent amount of money to like fuck all y'all. It is
Yeah.
me or no one else, like
Mhm.
straight up. And
Yeah.
so because I think that like if Joy's $25,000 exemption happened after that, I think there's a better chance that
That he
Dom,
comes back.
especially because it's Dom,
Yeah.
gets let back in.
Mhm.
And because of Joy's decision, I think that that might have been an incentive for Sandy to be like, nope, not
Mhm.
today. And other people thinking the same way. I really think that she changed it into, not changed it, but accelerated how cutthroat
Yeah.
this game is this
Yeah.
season.
No, I agree. It was a great move. It was exciting, but alas, I don't think anyone purposely threw the bank robbing. Unless, do you guys think that Cassie or it's Kessie? It's spelled
Cassie.
Ke.
Okay, Alex, that's my bit. That's my bit. If you were
Sorry,
to watch our first episode, I would just sit here in silence for 5 seconds trying to figure out how to say her
it's
name.
it's
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 Cassie.
Cassie
Cassie.
because it's
Yeah.
not Casey. It's Cassie.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
Cassie, do you think she should have noted those specific names, El Dorado, or whatever, G locks?
We kind of talked about it last time, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't have gotten onto it, I don't think.
I don't know. I would have either because I think I'm just looking at the last names, and they did keep
Yeah.
asking. They're like, "What other names?" And she would just read the last names. The only one, like, if I had said it out, like El Dorado, I think I would have been like, "Oh wait," but you're right. The like G locks, hell no, I'm not thinking like Goldilocks.
I would have tried locks just because they were
I
unlocking locks. Like
I
that would have
thought that
been
too.
the only one that I would have like accidentally stumbled into. I think like I recognize Midas as something with gold,
But
but I don't know if I would have in the moment
Like made the
necessarily.
connection.
But
Yeah.
it straight up says locks and you are unlocking
I
things. To
agree.
me, my brain would have done that.
Totally agree. I kept seeing that name and I was like, why wouldn't you try that one? That's nuts.
Mhm.
I also think it's so funny that they just blindly kept going and they didn't find one little nugget of gold.
Mhm.
Oh god. This is part of why, like, is Kazi like, did she do that on purpose? I do think there's a very probable chance of like you just completely don't even connect that because I think that could have been the role I fell in. I wouldn't have been like, oh, the
Mhm.
names. I didn't even, but just with all of the other suspicion around her, it kind of added to it a bit. And I never see
Mhm.
her say, like, I'm doing this shit on purpose to fool these
Yeah.
idiots.
Mhm.
Again,
No,
like you
I
said, we
agree.
only really get that from Greg and Avery and like a little bit for Nav, but not even that much.
Pranav's like focused in on it, but he was actively like, I think we need money at this point.
Yeah.
Joy changed the trajectory of the game. And that's why I'm just so shocked is like, I guess overall, I asked for both of these, like, do you think someone threw this on purpose or it was human error? Is I feel like they need money so bad. I don't actually think anyone threw the bank robbing on purpose.
I agree. I don't
Yeah.
it would
I think they're
be
so poor.
yes. And I'm also assuming that at this point, they've kind of picked up on it's not necessarily a pattern, but you have the mission where it's like accomplish it and we're going to get some money. Maybe not all the money available, but some.
Mhm.
Mhm.
There's this other like little mini mission that tends to be like one of you has the opportunity to make a very selfish decision. And so
Yep.
I feel like you really have to capitalize in the major missions
Mhm.
and compensate for Joy
Get the
continuously
money.
getting exemptions in the
Oh
minor
yeah,
ones,
we'll get there. I cannot wait to get to the end of the episode. It's better than Shakespeare. Okay, so like, um, I don't think either of these teams threw this opportunity to get money, and so, but I think that brings us into so I guess I'm jumping ahead to the next challenge. There was an exempt or an elimination between us. So after the
Right.
Yeah.
after the gold, the robbing of the banks, we get an exemption. Did this shock you guys? What were you thinking when? Well, I guess I can say it. The spoilers. Miss
Yeah.
Sandy gets blocked or gets eliminated.
She was one of my top 3 mole suspects, so I was sad to see her go.
Same.
I
I
was a
Yeah.
had
little shocked because I'm like, all right, I am off because my other one was Samara, also gone.
Mhm.
Basically, if you were in Joy's original group,
yeah.
Matthew texted me
Just
earlier and
cursed.
said, like, If you were in Joy's original group with the map, you are no longer in the game.
You
So
were-
we've gone from Taylor's karma
That's-
to Joy's karma.
Insane, actually. Okay, and not to talk about every single episode, but when they got back and they were like, well, did you guys open your clue? And they're like, what? And they're like, it's in the bag. And they're like, oh, we didn't open it. One of the funniest moments I've ever seen in television ever. Because once again, in these stressful situations, you just might not think to do that, but it seems so sus in the moment from everyone else.
Absolutely. He's just like, nope.
He's like, oh no, we didn't even think about opening the bag.
Poor Osei. Poor Osei.
Oh man.
Oh, that's crazy. All of Joy's team is gone now. Yeah. R.I.P. Sandy. I really liked Sandy for the fact that I was starting to think she might be the mole. But like I mentioned before, she convinced me that it was not a good move to bring Dom back into the game. And so I really like when she put her foot down there. Although our friend Geneva on Twitter was like, her saying no to Dom didn't really help her out. She ends up going right after.
Yeah.
True. Didn't really give her any new information. Yeah, I mean,
no.
I feel like Sandy pretty much fell into the same sort of like, I don't want to say like box, but like kind of category that Samara fell into, where they get like pretty minimal edits for the first couple of episodes, and then we kind of see more about who they are, more about their approach to the game, and the next quiz afterwards they're eliminated. So it just goes back to like the whole like historic reality television editing of women. So it's kind of unfortunate because I do think Sandy had a lot more to offer that we didn't see. But yeah, I mean, she says that she put her quiz answers on Pranav. And this is like the first time I think I'm seeing anyone like actively sus Pranav and going for him on the quiz.
Wow. I know I asked the question earlier, but I'm changing my answer. I think I'd be most shocked if Pranav is the mole. There's still that, that secret mission maybe could have been a mole thing, episode 1. Pranav to me is like, at this point, like the hero of the story. Like, I feel like I've been watching a lot of this through his eyes. Like, he's like, I made a relationship with Avery, and he's like, Avery's kind of doing her own thing now. Like, I feel like he's been a good narrator for what's going on. And, maybe I'm taking it back. He could be the mole too. He's like, I'm like the worst guest ever. I'm gonna make no definitive statements.
You'll get like 100 different guesses by the time we're finished.
No, by the end of this, I will make official guesses. But this is the nature of this show, and like, so I know I'm making a joke of it. Is I genuinely go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Talking about it with new people changes my opinions on things. It's fun. It's like a kaleidoscope. Everyone's seeing something different.
I will say that this episode made me definitely change my opinion on Pranav's likelihood of being the mole. He was in my top 3, and I just don't think that he's near my top 3 anymore. And it's mostly because, you aren't calculating down to the fucking second the pace, the splits you need to run on your 7-mile jog in order to be able to get to the train station on time.
Because we're gonna take a moment at each package too. And I was like, how are you able to think about this right now? I really like Pranav. He is in a similar boat with Greg, where like he feels like his head is in the game and he's got a game plan. He's sticking with it. Him and Greg are not in the exact same game plans, but they both have like an idea of what they want to do, and I think they're succeeding at it at the moment. At least from what I've seen.
Both of them are definitely very committed to the plan that they set out for themselves.
Yes. Yeah.
So in conclusion, we lost Sandy. I'm sad about it. Sandy, answer me on Instagram. We want you on here. But we got to keep it going. And the next day, we have Joy in a confessional saying, we really need to win. We really need to make some money. Every time Joy says this.
It's so good. She's like, we need some money. Joy. Or the best is when Dom's like, we have $3,000. And she goes, well, it's $3,500. Actually. Yeah. I'm telling you, you can't write this stuff. Like the situation, Joy has become the main. So I said Pranav's the main character. Joy is the catalyst for everything that happens in the game, though, and it's so fun to watch. Even her just talking right now, like we need to win some.
I feel like if
If
you're
I-
Joy, you can't win in this scenario because, like, sure, you took the money and you're part of the group that wants to win money. So even if you say you want to win money, it's like, yeah, well, if you wanted to win money, then why did you spend
What were you doing
$25,000?
last round? Yeah, it's crazy.
Imagine being the person who wins this game and Joy is not the mole and not the winner, and you're watching this confessional and it's like, we need to win some money. I'd be like, bitch, you got all my money.
I
It's in
didn't
that
even
red exemption
think.
card.
I didn't even think about that perspective. I'm like, I could have been 25 grand fucking richer. Or like, it just even, this is what I said as I go, I, in my mind, can't imagine depleting the pool more than like 10 grand. So I, they were at like, she did 25, they were at 28. In my mind, I was like, I don't think anyone's going over 18. And so if you think like, oh, maybe other people think that, you go to 20. But man, she said no, she goes, I'm doing 25.
Just full send it. Just full send it.
It's to the point where I'm like, you didn't do it all? Like, I just, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
so close.
Make it a true daily double and just wager it all.
It was crazy that she was just like, I will do most of it.
Do you think if she wagered it all, more people would have been upset at Greg at looking, or would most of the like anger and ire be still directed at Joy?
No, you're still mad at Joy.
I think you're still mad at Joy. You know, I do think Greg made off scot-free. I actually like
Pretty much. I mean,
I was
talking
talking
about
about
Greg, Avery made off.
Avery, you're right. Avery made out the best in that situation. I don't actually think anyone knows she got the info then.
That's
which
what
is
we
crazy.
Included.
Maybe Avery's in the best spot, and they keep showing us this. So I think that was one of the most brilliant twists I've ever seen just in a show. The simple line of like, your integrity will be rewarded, and allowing them to bet and then them be revealed. Voila. Also, Greg, like for the camera, he's like, no, I can't do it. And they're all like, phew. And he's like, but, and it's like, oh my God, it was unreal. So I've touted, like, I think the editing's really good. I think the cast is amazing. I think the games, like the missions, the challenges they've been coming up with.
They haven't missed yet with these tasks and challenges.
Yeah.
I have enjoyed every single one. I'm a guy where I can, fall asleep during a Survivor immunity challenge. Like, tell me who won. These, though, this is what if I'm watching a reality show, you know what? I may have seen this from a tweet, so I apologize. I'm plagiarizing someone. Someone said, like, this is the closest I've seen to the mole, or
do it again.
Not the mole. Excuse me. This is the closest I've seen anything to the genius. And so if you guys know the genius at all, the genius is the brilliance is in like the social strategy games they have. And this is right there. This is right up that alley.
Mm-hmm. Well, before we leave the topic of Joy, what did you think of Jacob's confessional where he's like, everybody has a tell, and Joy's is that she's just lying all the time. That's all Joy does is lying.
See, go ahead.
Is lying a tell?
Yeah,
I thought tell is supposed to indicate whether or not you're lying.
Exactly. So he's like, everything's a tell because everything she does is a lie. But this is what I'm saying is I had zero sus on Mr. Jacob Firefighter until, Avery pointed out that he may be throwing this on purpose. Now, I even, like you said, his sass, I watch his confessionals and I'm like, you know what? Now I'm not trusting this man as much as I was before. I'm like, I don't even know he's a firefighter. I'm like questioning everything about him now. And I really think...
Don't look at his Instagram then.
Oh, yes. So I actually know what you're talking about now that you say that. Okay. So I think he was, like I said, so this next mission we're about to get onto, he secludes himself with Joy. And I think he was trying to use her as a scapegoat.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's an easy scapegoat. That's
like,
for sure.
we already know that we shouldn't trust Joy with maps, but here we are, Jacob driving and Joy with a map.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, were you asleep the first task?
Were you not watching episode 1, Jacob? We all saw it. Like, it's really funny. And like I said, it's wild. They put 3 people on running, but I think that's Avery's game she's playing partly there.
I do have to bring up something before the mission because this is very important conversation topic to me. Did you notice that in the car on their way to the mission that Cassie was sitting in the middle seat in the back, and they're like the window seat was open, so like she's right, I think she was sitting like right next to Greg.
Probably
like,
for the camera.
I don't care. That's some
Maybe.
serial killer shit. Like, that's not even some mole shit. That's some serial killer shit.
Wait, you actually just reminded me of something I wrote down in my notes like an episode or two ago. But in one of the first missions, Greg mentioned something about like being car sick, and that's why he needs to drive. We haven't seen Greg in the driver's seat
I
since
noticed
that time.
Since he
that's
said
because
that.
he gets like betaed by the alphas because Jacob has like everybody says like, oh, Jacob loves driving, and Jacob said, I love driving. And then like, are you gonna argue with Will? No.
So you
I
just
Like,
wouldn't
let
argue
yourself
with
get
Thor.
car sick, like not
yeah,
even
go
put yourself
throw
the
up in
passenger?
shotgun, Greg. Sorry, you're not driving. That's what it comes down to.
I absolutely love the car session strategy talks. I don't know
Mhm.
what it is about it. There's something about it that's so nice because it just seems so innocent. And I'll be honest, I think it is hilarious they have to drive themselves to these challenges. Like
I like it.
I
I
do
like
too. It
it.
adds a different element. Like I wasn't expecting it at all. And I just from like I said, talking with a little of the cast, they say, you know, they don't see each other until they get in that car. And so it's very much like
Ah,
we haven't seen each other since we last saw each other. Like let's unload, like let's talk about
yeah.
whatever we can.
Mhm.
It's like one of the only times outside of a task where we see them like interacting with each other. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. It's like camp life for the mole.
Yeah.
The car
Yeah.
rides.
The thing that I enjoy is or the thing I did enjoy, I should say, is that when they did like a I don't know, an outside of the car view, one car was following the other one way too closely on that windy dirt road. Like I get so scared of car accidents in TV shows, like scripted TV shows, like when the driver is looking at the passenger too long. I'm like, look at the fucking
Yeah, you
road. Like, you're
know
going to
it's
catch a car. And that second car was just driving way too close to the first one. And so I was just scared. I was scared. I'm like, oh, I can't watch this. I'm not ready for this in episode 5. But I hadn't heard of a car crash, so I figured we were okay. But there was that
Yeah.
split second. I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, you don't need to be that close. What if
I
there's an
see it
animal?
coming.
There's so many weird animals in Australia. You do not need to be riding someone's ass.
Who do you think it was? Was it Will or was it Jacob?
Probably.
Oh,
Will.
I think it was Will because like Jacob as an EMT, I think he's
Mm.
like seen too many things like that.
Yeah.
You know, like he doesn't need to be a statistic.
Will's just trying to
Right.
get to the mission as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
The
gotta-
thing I remember I do enjoy is that every single car ride includes one $25,000 joke since the thing has happened. How
I
much
mean,
you think
it's-
this mission's going to be for? Probably 25,000.
It's the biggest topic of conversation they have in
Yeah.
Australia. They're like, you remember when Joy did that yesterday? Like,
And Joy's in the back seat just
she's
sitting there.
Yeah.
Poor Joy.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, you can make like you made your bed, lie in it type of thing.
Right.
So, let's get to this
All right.
mission. Let's
Yeah,
do
let's
this.
talk about the mission. So we have this mail run mission. There's 3 teams. You have the one that travels by foot, the one that travels by train, and the one that travels by car. And they have 90 minutes to deliver 3 parcels of mail. So the catch to this is that the car team and the team on foot must beat the train to the train station. So
Mhm.
basically they have a
time.
little less than an hour and a half.
Yeah.
The train
Yeah.
has an hour and a half, and then the other 2 teams have a little bit less than that.
An hour 29, pretty much.
Yeah.
29.59.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
You know what? As we're mentioning this, how ridiculous is it that the people who had to run made it and the car fucking didn't? What?
I mean, you
What?
have Jacob and Joy in a car. I feel like
If it
that
was anyone
going to
else,
happen.
everyone would be like, how did the car not make it on time? They also found like so little packages. Wow, this whole car ride was a disaster. And this is what I'm saying is we see majority, this is because of the joy of it all, the situation, we are really starting to see game plans splinter. Like even Greg, who has been focused on throwing occasionally, is like, fucking work, Kasi. Like, we need this money. Like, even he is like, get your shit together. And that's why, you know, we didn't see Avery vocalize that she was doing anything wrong, but I still think she's committing to her bit. She's like, I don't feel well. I was like, I've heard this song from you.
Yeah.
I was like, I saw this. I was like, you did the same thing with a different group.
There's no oxygen tank to drop this time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, that actually was insane to me. She literally just dropped it. But like, I feel like if you're gonna throw it, you just like he's like, who dropped it? You just don't say anything. She was like, it was me. Why would you say
Yeah, like
that?
immediately.
She's like, she didn't apologize. She didn't rationalize. She just literally was like, I dropped it. Dom's like, what the fuck? He's got to sprint back there.
The other confusing part to me of the makeup of the teams is that Joy is as much into fitness as she is being a pilot, which, I mean, take that with whatever grain of salt you want it to, but her
check her Instagram.
Yeah. Her bio is like fit mom, fit it's fit mom, fit something, like
fit pilot. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever it may be. So why is she not running?
There's a lot of things that don't make any sense. And it's like a group psychosis. Who led the group process here? There's so many mistakes that were made.
It was mostly Will.
Yeah.
This Will guy, he's back up on my list. I don't even know about him. There's so many mistakes here. You put 3 people in the car, get Joy off of the map, get 2 people running. Joy, who's maybe into fitness, and you, Will, or Pranav did great.
Pranav was fine, yeah.
Pranav
did awesome. Great.
Pranav and Will could have just ran that themselves.
I guess I wonder, maybe there was a cap on the train. Maybe you could only have 3 people on that. I don't know. It just made no sense to me. I was like,
I don't think Alex ever specified like the team sizes. So it could have been like 2-4-2.
Something wasn't making sense here.
We're going to have 1 person run, 3 person and then like everybody else or 1 person in the car. Jacob, you're on your own.
The train.
Everybody else get on the train.
Yeah. No, you probably needed at least 1 more person in the car for the map that you're ideally supposed to be having someone navigate.
Jacob basically, from not looking at the map, identified where they needed to go. He's like, okay, it's right after the trailer. And then he said like, oh, isn't it this right here? And Joy goes, no, keep going. Like Jacob identified everything.
It's the hairband situation all over again. She goes, no, that's not a key. That's a hairband.
That wasn't her. That was
Samara,
I know it wasn't.
That was Samara. Okay.
Yeah, I just comparing the 2 situations of someone being like, oh, is that the turn? Is this the key? And someone going, no. Like just flat out being like, no, that's not it.
Well, to be fair, Joy did do that in the same mission when Kasi was like, hey, do you see anything down there? And Joy like looks and is like, nope. And then she went and did push-ups in her jail cell.
Push-ups. She also didn't even open the whole thing. She just had the tiny eye hole. Oh, joy.
All right, so we've talked about the teams, but to explicitly say it, we had just Jacob and Joy in the car because Joy is like, yeah, I'm good at navigating, which
debatable.
Yeah.
Who are you lying to?
and I'm good at reaching tall things in cabinets, Joy. Like, I just don't believe you. So, we have the running team, which is Will, Pranav, and Avery. And Avery kind of just got like put on team. She's like, yeah, I'll do whatever. And not, I guess, knowing that she was agreeing to a 7-mile run.
It's a 7-mile run.
I couldn't do that. Like, brutal. Yeah, listen.
No, hell no. I'm not signing up for the 7-mile run. Get my ass in that car.
The train, whatever. I could have crushed Casey's job, which was just wave my little arms when we were coming up. Like, I would have been great at that.
Perfect placement.
Yes. Exactly.
And then our team was Kasi, Casey, and Greg. So, do we need to say
a bunch of reasons?
Else?
They had a bunch of like, oh, this is why this person should do this. And I just was like,
I feel like the real team was just like they just fell there.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I don't know. Something about the team makeup was very sus, in my opinion. I'm glad I know Will's the one who made them now, because the whole time I was like, who signed off on these teams?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I think like Will has a pretty decent read on his own talents, but maybe no one else is.
Yeah.
I mean, Will is also the one who volunteered Kasi for the bank heist.
He did. That he did. I didn't even think about that. God, Will, look at this is what I'm talking about. We're 45 minutes in, and I went from saying Will would be the one I'm most shocked about. Now I'm back. I'm like, he's moving up my list. He's somewhere in the middle now.
Everyone's doing something.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that would, I just wouldn't be surprised, because then he would be like, oh, it wasn't a secret clue I found in the first one. It was just like a mole mission that I knew about. I don't know. Okay. I liked this challenge in the sense that it had like the self time limit on it. Like you got to get there before
Mhm.
the train, and the train's like the one that's just preset. Like they don't have to do
Yeah.
anything for it. So and obviously I just love all the money references. That was like there's money in these mail drops. Like it was good. I guess we could talk about them one by one. Let's start with the runners. Yeah.
So Avery, I'm just saying, like, great gamer, great climber, not as
Yeah.
good of a runner.
Yeah.
No.
Also, with that negative attitude, you're not going to get anywhere, girl. You got to mentally put yourself in the mind frame
Yeah.
that you can run 7 miles.
She did. It was a lot of defeatist attitude there. I really thought, and so I'm thinking it was game. I really think it was game from her, just because we've seen her do similar things. Like I said, I've seen her sing that song of "I'm not feeling well." So
Mhm.
I think it was still game from her. But it's like, oh man, you guys need this money. You need this money
Oh.
so badly, and so. It was just also a really funny scene. They're like Pranav and Will are like keeping great pace, and then they like turn their head for a second. They're like, okay, we gotta
Where's
like,
Avery?
they're like,
Yeah.
where's Avery? Like, it was a really fun scene to watch. And so, of the three of them, they were like, I guess the car one also. They were like the ones, all three of these were pretty good. I'm gonna go running, car, then train, but that's not to detract from the train segment. But the
Mhm.
running was the one I was just like, oh my God, are they gonna be able to do this? Because I was like, 7 miles in an hour and a half, kids canceled, done. Don't even do the challenge. We
Yeah.
ain't finishing this part.
Mhm.
Might as well just walk the entire thing.
That's what Avery was trying to do.
Yeah, that was Avery's game plan.
She's like,
To
there'll
be
be bikes,
fair,
I think.
I don't know if I genuinely think that she just was not built for that run. Like,
It's possible.
I think so
I
as
don't even
well.
know if it was game as much as it was like running a mile and a half for the first time in however long, whether
Yeah.
she hasn't like mentioned working out. She's talked about climbing and stuff, like,
Yeah,
but
it's
not,
different.
yeah, that is not the same thing. That I'm gonna give Avery the benefit of the doubt that girl just did not want to, was not in like ready to run 7 miles, which to be fair, I
So
would not be either.
here's my
And she just
counterpoint.
struggled.
Here's my counterpoint. She's struggling. She's like, I can't do this. We need to walk. They get to the bikes and they like can't decide if they're gonna take them or not. There's like a
Mhm.
lot of back and forth between. They're like also on them, helmets on, and they're like, should we
Right?
do
Should we
this?
do it?
Yeah, I was like, what are you guys doing?
They're like halfway to the train station on the bikes and like,
Yeah, like,
should we be doing this?
Yeah, that's what
Are
it
we
was
doing
like.
this?
Yeah, and then Avery's like, "I'll take the blame," and then rides down the hill with no hands on her handlebars, just like,
This is what I'm
"Woo!"
saying. Is I was believing it until Avery was like, I don't know, should we take the bikes? Because I feel like if you're dying and you're trying to succeed, you're like, yes, bike now,
Yeah.
please.
Mhm. Yeah, I absolutely would have been on the bikes with that, but this segment from Pranav really lowered him for like his mole status for
Mhm.
me. Just
Yeah.
like I mentioned earlier, he cared way too much.
He was doing math.
agree.
He had the pace calculated. He's like, we're not going to do it if we keep this pace. Like he was working overtime. Like a mole doesn't need to do that to convince the other players. They're trying.
Right.
Yeah, I think Pranav genuinely cares. I just think that people are like, intimidated by him because they know he's smart.
Yeah.
And so it's easy to be like, oh, is the smart person who keeps his cards close to his chest, the mole. And I mean, that's a completely reasonable thought to have, but
Mhm.
he genuinely tries in these missions. And for someone as smart as him to not even hesitate to give his answer to Dom for the like coming back in. I mean, given we have to knock a few pegs down, I said it once and I'll say it again. He is a Philadelphia Eagles fan, which is a huge issue, but otherwise. So I just think that Pranav cares too much about doing what's right and winning that he doesn't like have to blatantly do mole things because of his persona. He gets to just be himself and people are like, okay, mole, but really I think behind Will tries the hardest in these.
I agree.
100%.
He's actually, I think, the one, if he's not the mole, that I would maybe be the most happy to see win. I don't know why. Like I said, I'm not basing that off a ton, maybe just vibes, but I would be really happy one. I think he's done well. He's thought about the game well.
Yeah.
He's checked most of the boxes for me.
You can tell how much Pranav cares about playing the game, just
Yes.
generally.
Yeah.
And that's something I respect a lot.
Love the guy too. The one hairstyle was not the look though. When he switched it up mid-season,
He looked like he just came out of the shower or something.
And I was like, whoa! I almost thought it was a different person. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, who? Oh, it's Pranav. Okay.
Alex, you said something that made me think of a question I had asked one of my other friends that I don't even know if I have an answer to. Is who are you most rooting for right now?
So hard.
And
It's
JD,
so hard.
chime in too, because
So
I don't know if I have an answer.
It's hard because obviously they could be the mole, and that changes everything about how you're rooting for them. But I think if I'm going not mole, who I want to see win or be at the end, I guess is more so from the audience perspective, like what I want. I think what I am most hoping for right now, and I'm gonna give half the cast, I feel like. So I like Pranav, Joy, Avery, and Greg. I think those are the ones I'm most invested in. I feel it's not that I dislike the other players, because I really do like everyone there basically for different reasons. But those are the four I guess I'm rooting for in the light sense of the term.
Before you give your answer, I do have to say that it is rich that a Netflix catfish is saying, depending on if this person is a mole, will change perception of them. Because why can't we just take people for who they are, Alex, catfish or not?
You're right. You're right. No, because I guess what I'm saying is I'm rooting for them to win the game.
No, I got your point. I was just being an asshole.
Yeah.
Functionally, the mole cannot win the game.
Right. Yeah, if any of the four of them are the mole, I'll fucking love that too. I'll love them even more. But I guess more so just from the point of view of your question. I meant taking out the fact that they could be the mole. But hell no, that's the other thing. And I haven't hit on this is I'm rooting for the mole. I'm anti-players. I like when the mole succeeds because that is way better television for us as audience members. So I guess that's the unsung thing I have not mentioned is I'm actually team mole. I just don't know who it is at this time.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, Alex. For me, Pranav and Joy are also up there. I feel like there is so much more to Kasi and Casey that we're not seeing.
I agree.
So I just want them to have as much time in the game as possible so that we can get to know more about where they're at, what they're doing, what they're thinking.
I agree. What about you? I know you said you
weren't sure. I'm rooting for anyone. That's the thing.
I
know that so many people are oh my God, Joy. Joy is getting so much love on Twitter, which she deserves, absolutely. But I don't know if I'm necessarily rooting for her because I just get so frustrated by Joy that it's hard for me to root for her. So I appreciate what Joy has done for this television show. Joy has done fantastic things. I just can't, I don't know if I'm rooting for her. So I think it's probably Pranav and I guess Avery, because we're seeing a lot of Avery's strategy and
we get a lot of their POV.
Yeah, so I think it's easier to root for them because then at the end we can be oh, the thing she did worked. So good job, Avery. So I guess that's where I land, but it's
if
I don't know.
She's full.
Oh yeah, if Avery's the mole, we've been blindsided.
She did a double fake on us more so.
Yeah.
I'm trying. You know what? That wouldn't fucking explain the obvious. Oh, I dropped that. She's doing the old switcher double.
The double bluff, yeah.
I'm on to you, Avery. I love it.
You won't be within 15 minutes though. You'll probably
change
your mind.
We'll say something and you'll.
The podcast is not over, So don't worry, my mind will.
You've still got 3 more changes to go before we're done.
Exactly. I'm gonna hit you guys up tomorrow and be wait, can we do a 30-second follow up? I've changed my mind a bit.
I rewatched episode 5, and here we are. All right. Well, with the running team, they're able to get all of their packages, and so they are able to bring back $9,000 minus the $2,000 for the bikes because
I don't blame them.
Those are some
to me the
expensive divvies.
That is expensive. That's really funny. The only reason that seems what mole-like is maybe Avery knew that they were coming to tempt them. I'll slow down to tempt them. Other than that, I don't blame anyone for taking the bikes. I think anyone in their right mind would be $2,000 a bike, easy, worth it.
No other pair or I guess, like, trio would have
Oh.
even made it to that point if they were the runners. You know what I
Probably
mean?
not. Like
Was any other group offered anything?
No.
no.
I don't know how you would have offered them
Uh,
anything
I
except
don't
maybe,
know.
like,
Here's
at the
a gas
mailbox.
card. Yeah. Yeah. I'm
If
not
that's the
sure. Yeah.
gas card, they would mistake it for the prize at the end of the game
Yeah.
because that's all that they
Joy's
can
like, is
afford
this an
right now.
exemption card?
Joy's like, "Oh, here's the pot at the end of the game. This is what we win.
Yeah,
$100
and
to
it's
the local Shell station.
I mean,
Cool."
they could have been like to the train, like, "Hey, do you guys want to slow down? Give us X number of money." But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
The other ones are a bit
Mm.
harder.
Yeah, there would have had to, like, been something, I think, in a mailbox. I don't even know how you slow a train down. That seems like a lot of
Avery's
science
looking
that I don't
Maybe a better
understand.
map. Maybe a
Maybe
better
a better
read
map that wouldn't have
map.
helped.
For $5,000, we'll give you a GPS
we
that
will
talks
give
to you.
we will give you G maps or
We
like
will
Google
give you
Maps.
Waze.
Oh my god. But yeah, so we went over the running the car team. We've kind of touched upon. It's just the two of them, and they flounder hard. I think they get one of their packages.
They find one after first passing it.
They pass
Mhm.
all
They
of
turn
their packages. They
around.
pass it, turn around, and because they turned around to get that package,
Yeah.
Mhm.
they ended up 18. Was it 18 seconds? They were like 18
18.
seconds late, and it was like because you fucking turned around. I do love how this show literally, like with the Prison Break one, you see the importance of like seconds on
Yep.
these times that
Because it
like
was what, like
Mhm.
4 or 5 seconds on the Prison Break?
it was literally they were down to
Mhm.
the last 5 seconds and where
Yeah.
they had taken away 10 minutes earlier. They're like, yeah,
Mhm.
no worries, they got it. Take those 10 minutes off.
Yeah, the car team, I mean, Jacob can blame Joy for all of her shitty navigating. However, at the end, when it seemed like Jacob was more in control of the timing, and
Yeah.
he allows her input. Wait, like you still could have ignored it. She's literally a backseat driver at that point. You are driving,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and for
exactly.
him to not. And also, that's another molly thing to me. Why are you
Mhm.
navigating from the back seat?
I'm
Who?
guessing again
When
it's a
have you?
camera
Yeah,
person.
No, I
was
don't give a fuck about the cameras. That is not logical.
I hate to be technical.
Who?
Yeah.
No.
I
Who
mean, it's the
gets
same way
into
they
a
do it with
car
the
and
Amazing
sits
Race,
behind the
right?
driver and is like, "Yeah, I'll be the GPS back here." That absolutely makes no sense.
You
We
need
have
a
seen
physical
plenty
backseat driver.
of we have seen plenty of TV shows that have someone in the front seat and someone driving, and we can see them. Figure out your GoPro shit, mole, because that's mole-ish behavior sitting in the back seat navigating. That alone,
That threw up red
Joy.
flags. That whole car was sus to me. I was
Yeah,
like, you know what?
both
I
of
think the
them.
mole's in this fucking car. There's something about those two. And just the fact that Jacob was like, I'm gonna keep her close this round. I was like, why? Why, buddy? Why? He's
So
not slick.
the car is 18 seconds late. They bring back no money, and
They
then the
did
train
terrible.
team.
I actually
Yeah.
think if the other players saw how bad they did, they'd be like, they're just dumb. There's no way either of this. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so bad. It was such a bad performance by those two.
That would be kind of funny if Alex, like before dinner, is
Showed
like,
them.
"So who wants to watch the video of the car team?"
We have all 90 minutes of footage.
Yeah.
We have the tape.
Oh god. And then the train team. Now this one probably had the most intrigue because, like I said, I would have assumed Greg was going to be throwing if anyone.
Mhm.
But Greg
Mhm.
steps up. He's like, we can't keep losing money. Rightfully so. And then we see another fateful Kazi before she's another thing. So I'm only going off of what Greg said. Greg was like, it's really easy. She can do this. She's got this. As a fan, I was watching and I was like, shit, I might miss that back. I was like, I don't know. I don't think it's as easy as Greg's making it out to be.
I mean, we already established that Greg's like pretty good with like yoga and Pilates and all that. So
He's
like
got a
he
good
definitely
core. Yeah.
has the body like conditioning for reaching
Mhm.
that far out and grabbing those heavy bags.
Mhm.
We can't say the same for Kasi, I don't think.
No, it's unfortunate. But in my mind, I did one of those, as it's coming, I go, if she misses this, she's the mole. And then she did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, I knew
Yeah.
it. She's the mole.
It just felt like so set up that like Kasi was just going to miss.
I know. Yeah, it did. If I was like, I think she's gonna miss this. And once again, you just can't tell if it's on purpose, accident, strategy purpose.
She
It's gonna
seemed really embarrassed by it, but I don't know if that's just her being like a really good actress.
could be a good. Yeah, it's part of the game. Part of the game.
Which
I love
definitely
it though.
comes up in the next mission. I do have something to ask you. So we're like, oh, we think Greg might be the one throwing it. And this also applies to Avery. The two of them each looked at the dossiers. Why wouldn't you at this point? Because you have more information than everybody else around you. Why are you? I don't think like they should be trying to throw shit at this point. You should be trying to collect money because you have a leg up on information that other people like. You should be trying to win. You know what I mean? Like
you are more
that,
likely to make it to the end now.
Yeah, like you should be seeing this money as like, this is my money. I'm going to do this. So like for me, I don't 100% understand if Avery did something with the run, which again, I don't think she did. I just don't think that she was ready to run 7 miles. But if I'm Greg or Avery, I just don't know if I would be really trying to do anything to sabotage you because it really should be your money at this point. And what do you think of that perception of it?
I think it shows they're still uncertain. Even after the dossiers, they still don't feel like they've narrowed it down to like 2 or 3 people. They still
How
feel
could
like
you
it's
when
4 or
everyone
5.
is this bad?
When everyone is so bad at these challenges. So I think maybe that's a sign that Greg feels a little more confident than Avery does. Avery's like, I'm still going to try to fool these people a little to secure my spot. In a mole game, like I said, I've only played the one. In the beginning, you are like covering numbers and bases. You want to have as many answers on as many people as possible. But as the game progresses, you want to try to start figuring out who it is. So you take a little more risks. I'll put more answers on Pranav this time. I'll put more answers on Sandy this time. And so the game starts to shift. And I think we're starting to see maybe Greg is narrowing it down a bit quicker than maybe Avery is. That's my only read on what you've just said. And I think it's actually very astute. And I wouldn't have thought of it unless you pointed it out.
Same here. This is my first time thinking about it. And I think I landed in the same boat as you, Alex, where it's like, I think it just comes down to a confidence thing where, because I don't think the dossiers will give you any sort of information that will help you rule out who isn't the mole. Like it's just going to give you the same set of information, just changed depending on who the person is. So it doesn't help you that much if you still don't have like a great idea on who the mole is. It just gives you the information that you might need once you figure that other part
You still got to be paying attention,
right?
Watching for someone to slip up and be like, oh wait, their dossier said they went to college here. Why would they? Or something like that.
Yeah.
Now we're getting into catfish vibes. So the traveling one was exciting. They got the money from the train and the running, but I think the meat and potatoes of this episode is this last, I don't know if you want to call it a mission, exemption, whatever it is.
We can't get there yet because we need to bring up Jacob's sass in the mission debrief because this was top fucking notch. So they get back and they start questioning Jacob and Joyce. Like, what happened? You got back just after. And Jacob's like, I felt we really did well together. Like, he did not scapegoat Joy here.
Yeah, I was shocked by that.
And Will goes, well, doing well would be succeeding mission. And you didn't.
I did think that was really lame of him to be like, yeah, we did really well. Well,
no, you didn't.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, Will has a point there.
It'd be one thing if they came back, they're like, we got all our packages. We were just like 18 seconds late. You got one package and we're 18 seconds late.
So then Jacob says, well, that's easy to say from the outside. And the word easy triggered a couple people here, specifically Avery and Will. Will's like, easy? We just ran 7 miles. You want to talk to me about easy? And did you see Jacob? Jacob puts his hands out in front of him and just does this little like
this petty clap. Yeah.
Like, oh, congratulations.
What do you want? You want a cookie?
Yeah. Oh God. Jacob is a whiny little bitch and I love it. It's like
I love it.
I didn't know I needed that from him. Yeah, it was really spectacular. I totally forgot about it, but him just being like, who gives a fuck? Like, what are you talking about? Like, this is great. He's like, that wasn't my mission, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
Not
The
my
sass
problem.
on
You had to
him.
run 7 miles.
Is
Yeah,
what
but
he
the
said.
clap at them. Oh
The
my god!
After they earned like $9,000 and he
Right?
brought back none. He's like, "What did you do today?" Me and Joy we did our best. Like, and
Yeah.
they're like,
We
"Fuck
had a
you."
nice Sunday drive.
Yeah.
That's what
We
me and
did
Joy
well together.
That's so funny.
So sorry to break the transition into the next mission
No, it's
slash
good.
exemption, but I could not have this
Can't
podcast
leave
happen
that. Can't leave
without
that.
mentioning that clap. That was a work of art, Jacob.
Top
Truly. All right. So afterwards, we hear that they're going to lunch, and they walk into like what looks like a barn. So weird place to eat lunch,
Should have
but
been your first red flag.
yeah,
You're like, we're not at a restaurant.
we're gonna have to kill the animals ourselves. Like, what's
Interesting
going on here?
detour.
How much vegetarian? So they sit down, and there is a bomb casually in the middle of the table, which like
Of course.
if I know that if I saw a table with a bomb on it, I don't think I would necessarily sit down at said table, but TV magic, I guess.
Yep.
I think Alex comes on and says, "Take a seat." I think
Yeah,
she does
and-
force them.
I feel like
You do
everyone
what
just
Alex
does
says.
what Alex says. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta
Or
do what
face
she
the
says.
very dire
I
consequences.
tweeted about this, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it. The best part of the show is when Alex walks out the eliminated contestant, like they're like going to the principal's office. Or something. Instantly, she's like, "What went wrong?" Like, I'm like, "Whoa, give him a second to
Yeah.
breathe." Like, it's really fun though watching her like walk them out.
Yeah, she's like instituting her restorative justice practices as so
Yeah.
what can we do different the next time?
So where'd you go wrong? What would you?
How
do
would you
differently?
change your behaviors so we don't
Yeah.
end up in this situation again? Especially you, Dom, because you could end up in this situation again.
He could have.
That's so funny.
All right, so in this barn we have the bomb table with the chairs around it, and there's also a casual $15,000 in cash. So bomb cash in the middle of a table, just another day
Just a day in the mall
in Australia. So Alex gets on the mic and says, "Everybody sit down," and we find out that 2 of the chairs have detonators underneath them that have been triggered by someone sitting in them. So if both people get up who are sitting on the detonators, the bomb goes off, and that's bad news bears. So here's how the players can get the cash. There is going to be courses of food served, and everyone's going to be served what appears to be the same food, but the 2 people who are sitting on the detonators have the normal tasting food, the good food, and then the other 7, something is wrong with this food. So in the first course, it looks like a meat mince pie with like mushy peas on top of it, but the mushy peas are actually wasabi peas. And the second course was a nice beer, unless you were, one of the 7. Yeah, it's like apple cider
like
vinegar.
carbonated apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
Disgusting. So
yes.
This was brilliant to me. It is a little complicated, but once you understand what's going on, this is amazing to me. When did you ever in a million years think you'd have to like hide your like just such a weird, obscure sort of test and game that they have going on here? And I just love that they're keeping them on their toes. Now, a little segue is we did used to play a game like this in college where it was one person had like a water shot and the rest of us had actual alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
And people had to guess who had the water shot and who had alcohol. But, we didn't have a bomb and $15,000 attached to it. So this one's way more fun.
Yeah. So the third course was some sort of dessert, and there was chili in the bad one. So like
that one threw me for a loop.
Yeah. But what the goal was to vote out 2 people who were eating the off-brand of food, like the store brand one that accidentally had a chili thrown into it, or went through the wasabi machine, like whatever, however that malfunction happened, right? And so the food is served in our first course. It's the pies with the mushy peas, and People are taking bites, and so with wasabi naturally being somewhat spicy, horseradishy
I'd be
type of
so bad at this one in particular. I hate wasabi.
Yeah, like a mouthful of wasabi is not like, how do you not react to that? Is my question.
This is what I'm saying is this was so fun and I'd be so bad at it. And it just, it was so intense trying to watch and figure it out. Cause this is also one you can kind of play along with at home. You know what I mean? You can be like, oh, I saw that face. I saw that face.
And so the goal, especially if you are the people who are not in the detonators, is to just take a bite of it and act like it's the most delicious thing you've ever eaten.
The last people at the table also are going to be offered an exemption.
Right.
That's where the tricky part comes in, is you want to fake it because you want that exemption.
Right. So
but if both people get off their detonator, so if both people who are telling the truth are voted out, all the money is bye-bye. It's tricky. This is complicated. And, I don't know if they gave him a second to like think about it, talk about it, but they just dove right fucking in on the edit. And I was like, hold on, I don't know my strategy. I don't know what I would do.
Yeah. The strategy is you eat that without blinking an eye, or don't let your eyes water. That apparently is
easy.
what got people out.
Yeah.
So with the mushy peas, Casey tried to call out Pranav for his eyes watering, and then Casey just like starts coughing and completely gives up that like she also had wasabi. So those two received the most votes. Both of them were correct, so they're out. 2 detonators are still in. The next one is the beer, and Greg starts drinking his and just starts like deeply coughing. Like,
be me. That'd be me so badly.
Avery,
like, no, it's beer. I just don't drink much.
Avery was like, I don't chug things, which to be fair, I also don't chug things, so I would also be sipping it very slowly. But that drew suspicion to her, so Greg and Avery catch the votes there.
They're out.
And those are both 2 people who are not on detonators. So far, 4 people voted out who weren't on the detonators. So they're
doing well.
Progressing towards the money. The third course is this dessert that has chili in it. And Jacob says he bites his tongue.
Yeah.
Question for you. Did that dessert look like you need to chew it?
It was like a pavlova, right? Do you chew pavlova?
I didn't think about that.
Pavlova.
I mean, the first
he's got chili in his. Or no, he didn't.
It's chili he had chili in his.
He had chili in his. Yes.
Yeah, it was Kasi who didn't.
Yes.
I was a little suspicious when he was like, I bit my tongue.
Everything he says.
Because I don't know. Let's look up what did you say it was pavlova?
I think so.
I do think that's more like a not yogurt, but like a
yeah, it looks very like moussey.
Yes,
not the animal.
That's a good
like
comparison. Yeah, maybe you don't need to chew it. Maybe he thought he needed to chew it, and that was how he bit his tongue. And he's like, "Oh shit, this is like like a whipped cream."
Or he was trying to somehow sabotage. I don't know, but I just was like, "You bit your tongue." Because the other thing to me is, if he actually bit his tongue and there's chili pepper in that has to sting.
Hurt. True.
Like son of a bitch. Yeah.
And so you're telling me the part that hurt was you biting your tongue and not having chili pepper infiltrate your wound?
It was both.
Maybe he bit his tongue earlier, and now
the chili pepper is drawing.
I don't know why you're trying to make Jacob not seem like the mole. Like,
because now that I assume it's too obvious. No, that's also part of the problem. As soon as you feel like you're onto it, you're like, now it's too obvious.
Yeah.
So Jacob put it out, and then Joy says, "Oh look, Kasi's eyes are watering," which I didn't think Kasi's eyes were watering.
They weren't. Joy was lying.
It didn't look like it.
Yeah,
Joy was lying because also Joy had the spicy food. She needed to get it on someone else.
Yeah,
and she did it. Joy's a player. Joy's a player
that was a good
at her heart. You know, I as we were doing this podcast, I realized Joy is already playing like she's won the money, and she's like, I just borrowed $25K for myself to stay safe this round.
Pretty much, yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and when you phrase it like that, it's not as big as a blow, right? You're like, it's my money already.
Right. It's that winner's mindset. Yeah.
Yeah. But she gets Kazi eliminated, even though Kazi is on a detonator.
Yes. So Cassie's there, or Cassie's gone, Jacob's gone, which leaves Will and Joy. So Joy, we come to find out that she pulled off eating all that food without blinking an eye. So I just am wondering,
or
when
is she the
pilots
mole and
become
her food
pilots,
was fine?
Oh.
I don't think they would do that. I think they would make the mole.
I don't put anything past them.
You're right.
I could definitely see it. But I think
I just came up with that theory though as we're talking, so I don't know I even believe it.
I'm going to assume that Joy had to eat if Joy is the mole and Joy had to eat all the weird foods. My question is, in pilot training, do they also do some like CIA training? Like, do they go to Quantico? What is this shit?
Yeah, she did, because I really thought she was on she was on a buzzer, because she gave no reaction to anything that we saw.
Yeah,
and so it was impressive. And like I said, Joy's a stone cold killer, and we're about to get to the cliffhanger of it all. But I don't think they could have ended on a more perfect note for these first batch of episodes.
Yeah. I also think that Joy benefited from sitting next to Will, because Will was talking a lot.
Drew attention away.
Yeah. Like, she's right next to him. He also is like overshadowing her physically.
Yeah.
And he said, like, from the get-go, like, my food is like, I'm on a detonator. He didn't try to hide anything.
Yeah.
Which also interesting. Why didn't Cassie?
Yeah, why didn't she?
She's
Especially if he right away was like, I'm good. Like, don't vote me out. My food is fine. I'm telling you. You know, Will is one person.
Maybe she wanted the exemption.
Maybe she really wanted that exemption.
You're the mole. You don't need the exemption.
But
she's trying to take it from the other players.
Yeah, exactly.
More so.
Yeah, I guess.
So,
if Cassie's a mole,
someone's got some splaining to do.
Yeah, if Cassie's a mole, like, she doesn't. To her, I don't think it matters who goes home. You know, like, someone's going home regardless, and it's not her.
I do think you want people who maybe are onto you a little bit to go home. So I think it does matter to her a little.
It doesn't like affect anything. No matter what,
it affects how much money she can steal from the pot.
Is that happening? Is that happening? Because if that's happening, I didn't pick up on that in episode 1.
I guess I don't know if the mole is getting the money they directly.
Right, because if that's the case, then that makes complete sense. Absolutely.
Sure. I guess I'm playing as that way, but I also am going from the perspective of, if she is the mole, her job is to detract as much money as possible. And so in my mind, especially keeping the game of who's actually lying versus telling the truth, that does benefit the mole. For them to all be like, wait, why was so many people lying? Like, we should just be straight up with each other. Like, it just shows the aura of distrust in the room. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I do think it matters. If you are the mole, you know, at the end of the day, you're right. Like, I'm not going home. What's it matter? You probably, to play to your strengths and weaknesses, want some people to go or stay. Like, imagine it is Pranav or Avery as the mole. You bet your ass they want that other person to stay. Like, that directly affects their game as the mole if one or the other person of them goes.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think Matthew, our guest from yesterday, also brings up a great point of, why didn't she try to convince Will?
Try to convince Will that,
like, keep me. My food's fine. Like, because Joy was like, her eyes are watering. Like, to me, Cassie stayed a little bit too quiet to have been on a detonator. I'm just a little confused by her gameplay in this. Because
I think Matthew brings up a good point. I didn't even think about this, because not at the beginning or at the end. She didn't say anything. There is always that. She said,
like, no, I'm not. Like,
there's always that strategy of, if you defend too hard, you look guilty too. But, like, I don't know. And the problem is we didn't hear her thought process on it.
Right.
See, it's Kazi. It's definitely her.
So whether or not she's the mole, she gets voted out. So it's left to Will and Joy. And
this is where we go ahead.
This is good. So Joy turns to Will and says, like, I obviously have to be the one that gets up to read this, because what happens is the like wait staff brings in 2 trays, like it's Survivor auction, on some barrels off the side of the table. So it's not served to them this time. So Joy has to get up because if Will does, that's a second detonator, mission's over. And she opens up the first one. The first one says, if you cut the wire, it'll put the money in the pot. You get 15K. Great.
Second part, you do not. He goes, well, don't stop reading aloud. She goes,
And it
the
literally
second part, you
says-
do not need to read aloud. And I was like, oh my God. That was like, you can, once again, you cannot script that. That's so funny. He's like, well, don't stop reading aloud now. And she's like, well, it actually literally says I can stop reading aloud if I'd like to.
Alex said so.
Yeah. It's like, you can't see the rules, but I can.
So if she lets the time run out, then without cutting the wire, she can get an exemption, which means no 15K in the pot, and Joy is safe from yet another quiz.
And so the way I understand it, though, is Joy has the decision of no 15K for the pot, exemption for herself, or 15K for the pot, and Will gets the exemption.
Oh, is that what happened with that? Did I miss that component?
I'm pretty sure the last person at the table gets an exemption. And so this is like...
okay.
So
then
she's got such a weighted decision here. Like, do I give someone else safety and get money for everyone? Or as she said, she goes, I'm so greedy. Do you take that fucking exemption and run? I genuinely, I know we have seen her history. I genuinely don't know what she's going to do. I've gone back and forth.
I think she takes it. I think she takes it.
You think she takes the exemption?
I think so.
There's part
and I mean,
of
at
me,
least this time around, she isn't taking money out of the pot. She's just stopping it from going in, which doesn't make much of a difference.
Concept. It's the same difference. She will try to justify it that way, though, if she does that. She'll be like, I didn't take it out of the pot. And so I have no reason, no explanation, no history I can point to. There is just something in my bones that says she's gonna put the money in the pot, though. After you guys are both shaking your head. No way. Okay.
Not a chance. Here's why. Here's why. Again, she has set the example for the season with what she did, and then I think the mind frame is going to be, if it was anybody else in this situation, they would be taking the exemption because she took the exemption previously. And so I think that's what's going to do it for her is like, I know I feel bad that it's like me 2 times in a row. However, if it was anyone else, they're not like kind of like, well, Dom wouldn't let me back in. That was Casey's reasoning for like not wanting, like same kind of thing. Like if Will was there, I think Will's taking the exemption, even though Will is like probably the most that wants the money for the pot. Like he said in his confessionals, of anyone, I need the exemption. I think any single other player is taking the exemption, and that's where she's going to go to. I think there is literally 0 chance that she leaves
if I'm wrong,
without the exemption.
Even if say I'm wrong, say Will doesn't get the exemption no matter what. It's either money or no money. Do you still think the decision stays the same?
I think that she...
I still think so.
Yeah, she literally took 25 grand from the pot to get the first one. This one is essentially free. She's not losing money for anybody.
She is. I'm arguing this point. She is losing 15 grand for the group. It's oh my God.
I mean, she's stopping 15K from going in.
Wow.
But she's not taking 15K out. It's not like they're at negative 11,000 now.
They might as well be. I think I've deluded myself so hard into feeling like she's going to for some reason. But like I even mentioned, I don't have any reason to believe that. But like I just cannot imagine the backlash of her taking this exemption again. They're gonna like really... What we're saying,
just like Joy's navigational compass is off, so is her moral compass. Like we are not getting her saying for the team. It's not happening. It's not happening.
I want to believe it so badly. I want to believe her to be like, this is my redemption for what I did last time.
I feel like we've heard so much about Joy wanting to win. That,
this
like,
is so true.
For that,
I gotta respect it. There's part of me that like it's absurd. The 25K is way absurd. I respect the hustle to stay, though. I do. And so I think that's where I swung over as a Joy fan, where before I was like, this is absurd. It makes no sense. I don't understand. And then once I realized, I was like, damn, she's doing anything to win. I was like,
you threw America's sweetheart underneath the bus in your show. Come on.
I think that's what it comes down to is I was like, I've been there. I've been there. I've done
brewed
crazy
someone
things
before. Joy's just brewing these people.
That's right. Yeah. She's like, it's my money. It's my money. It's not Brew's money. It's not Dobbs' money. It's not any of their money. It's my money. I respect it. Like I said, that's where I did a switch. I had a full, in typical mole fashion, I changed my mind on Joy. I went from being like, this is absurd to being like, I'm a big Joy fan.
I'm with it.
Yeah. Yeah. What an episode. What a great 5 episodes.
Yeah.
I had so much fun with these 5 episodes.
It was so action-packed. I felt like it never lulled. There was seriously never a lull.
Never. Whenever an episode would end, I'd be like, really? Here?
More, please,
that's
now.
it?
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say they're also like so easy to rewatch as well. For me, a lot of times, especially with podcasting, if I watch something just because like, all right, let me watch it and I'll go back and take notes later. I'm usually dreading the second time just because I feel like I'm wasting my time. And I've not felt like I've wasted my time in even rewatches just because it's been so enjoyable. You pick up on different things. And especially like when you've read some of the discourse from whether it's your Discord channel, Twitter, the conversations you're having with your friends, things they've noticed or opinions they have, and then you go and watch it again, you're like, oh yeah, that makes complete sense. That it's just so good. It's just quality, like whether it's the first or second time you've watched it. And like we said, we're so excited to get to watch it from when the mole is announced that I'm just so happy. Like it's made me so happy.
I think part of, and I've just because I'm weird and I like to think big picture, I'm like, why? Reality TV has its interest to people and what makes it really good. But I'm like, what is it about this that is like crack to me right now? And I genuinely think it's like I was going to say the true crime of it, but it's the mystery of it all.
It's we don't know.
We don't know. We're trying to figure it out along with them. And
we're playing along from home.
Yes. People I'm introducing it to too. They'll be like, wait, we don't get to know who the mole is. And I'm like, I understand at first that seems like an annoyance, but you got to trust me. It's part of the ride. Like it's a big part of the show. It's a reason like mystery theater, like dinner theater succeeds. Who done it? True crime. It's the same reason. We just love the mystery aspect of it.
Yeah. If I'm critical of like one component, maybe two within the casting is we do have a very small age range in our players who have been handpicked off of Instagram. And I would love to see some differentiation in body types. Everyone is fit. And I guess I understand from a first season asterisk because it's a reboot. Like, let's draw the people in and then we can. I've actually said on our podcast, like we get more like Alex's in, like how the circle, okay, we have these, like Frank was a fan despite seeming somewhat recruited. I know he applied, but like I think he was kind of a mix of the both, right? That like let us establish like a great season of people who are comfortable in front of the camera and can give us like what we need, and then start bringing in like some game players and integrating it more. I would love to see some of that and like different body types, some older people and people who like don't look like they were curated for Instagram. That's like my small gripe, but it has, the people we have made such an entertaining 5 episodes that I can't imagine it falls downhill anytime soon. Like I'm so excited for the next couple of weeks with what we've got coming up.
I think
it looks like it's only going to get better.
Oh, I was about to say, I totally agree with your criticism, and I think that's fair. The only, and this is not any sort of pushback, is I actually really love everyone they cast, though.
Yeah, like, that's the thing. Is like I'm not complaining about any of them as much as I've complained about Greg. But I'm not complaining about any of them. It's just like, can you give me this season 2 with a 45-year-old or someone who might be on the bigger side or whatever it may be? Like, give me this in addition.
I generally like to think Netflix toes the line of its they can do casting more on that side. Sometimes they don't. So I would be excited to see what future seasons hold. I think this franchise has like long legs for Netflix. I think it really fits
really
in
think so.
Netflix's model too. Not every show, and some argue The Circle does not necessarily fit in this weird release schedule they have. I actually really think that this kind of fits in this release format that they have. In the editing style, ending on cliffhangers, something about it just works with this show. It's fast paced, it's intense. You feel like you're on a mission too with them, trying to figure out the mystery. And I'm just I see, as someone who's part of the Netflix reality TV world, this is the sort of shit that gets me excited. Yeah, I like Love is Blind, I don't know, Too Hot to Handle, whatever. But like this is like what I like get out of bed for. This is like 10 out of 10 A+ television.
Yeah, where the only place I would push back on that is I think the mole benefits from having conversations about it. And so when there's 5 episodes in a row, that it's
Stifles.
like what we have people in, like there's a Discord group that I'm in
I haven't watched any.
Some people were watching all of them today. Others were refreshing Netflix at midnight on Friday to watch all 5 from 12 to 5 in the morning. And so you don't have the opportunity to, all right, I watched episode 1, let's talk about it. And JD and I talked about this where it's we are going to be putting more work on ourselves if we do this episode by episode, but I think it's going to be more value in terms of having these conversations. And I just wish that Netflix kind of set us up for that. Like if you did a Monday, Wednesday, Friday release or whatever, because then give some time for it to breathe, people to watch it, and sleuth online. Let us have the conversations that we're getting to have right now because we've slowed down and watched it this way. I just feel like Netflix is get more popularity.
It's the community building of it.
Yeah.
There's not a time I can expect everyone to be on Twitter just now talking about it. I got to search for it. I got to find it. And, the few people I know at Netflix, I've even mentioned this to them. And I think, if they're really stubborn and, Netflix is all about the binge release. So they like the half binge, half weekly. So that's kind of their brand, where I do think they scare away from a weekly release.
Yeah.
Even though I do think that would benefit them. I said one small change. Here's one small change. I think you make this, and I think it makes a world of difference. Release it at 8 p.m. EST. Why is why is it being released at midnight? It's absolutely bonkers, and I've seen it now with
especially
Dancing with
on a Friday.
Friday night at 8. You're telling
me
what
else am I doing? I'm avoiding people like the fucking plague, and I want to stay at home and watch The Mole. That's exactly what I want to do.
It would make so much difference for the show. It would create some of those conversations. If they're not going to do it week by week, this could at least allow more of opportunity for that.
I also think 5 is a lot.
5 in one day.
I'm really curious why they did that, because it's going 5 and then next week is 3 and the week after that is 2. I think there had to be a reason, and I genuinely think they're just they really wanted to hook people and get them drawn in. And I think they just weren't sure how this was going to do.
Yeah.
And I think it's exceeding expectations from what I've heard little rumbles that it's doing well. I don't know what that means Netflix wise though, numbers or anything, but I hear it's doing well. I don't know. Have you guys seen it in the top 10 at all? I have not been looking.
I only have been on Netflix for The Mole.
Yeah.
So
I haven't been paying attention to the top 10.
That's usually how I
feel
gauge.
like on the Friday, I think it was up there for top 10 TV shows.
My season of The Circle got number 2 so many times, and then freaking Stranger Things came along. And I was like, now we'll never hit number 1. And I was like, I don't blame it though. But no, so yeah, I'd be curious to see, but I think it's doing well. I mean, just from what I've seen and people I've talked with, it's been a hit.
Yeah. My little group chat, Matthew, who was on here yesterday, we've been talking about it a bit of, we just felt like the advertising for it hasn't been great though. I didn't get a single email from Netflix about it, and it's not showing up in their high volume areas.
I don't get it. I don't get it because I think it's great TV. I think it's really good TV. And I even have, like I said, I've been recommending it to non-reality TV people, and that's high praise.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we love it. We've been talking about it for
we
an episode for an hour and 40
You guys are
minutes.
like, it's just
we've
all right.
literally doubled the airtime. I mean, no, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm about to start podcasting about this upcoming season of the challenge, and if I say anything more than it's just all right, like I'm
That's a
I'm
comment.
drunk or
That's high
high.
praise for the challenge.
Yeah, like I'm drunk or I'm high, like come check on me. Or that's like my sign that I'm being kidnapped. Like
That's how we know.
Yeah,
This
come
episode
check
of
in.
Ride or Dies was amazing. Best reality TV I've ever seen. Yeah.
Like
Blink
text my
twice if
roommate,
you're
make
okay.
sure that
I
I'm
absolutely
okay.
loved what Fessy did in this
If I ever say anything about positive about Fessy,
That's how you know.
How you know. That's when it's like check in with my roommate, make sure my dog is taken care of, like let my boyfriend know, please. Like that's it. All right, let's round this out because we've like talked about it, but I know Alex, your mind has changed at least 37 times, maybe more. Who is your top pick for the mole? And you can go as far as top 3 if you would like.
Yes, I am. Shoot, I'm gonna give a guy and a girl. I'm gonna go with Kazi, and I'm sticking with Jacob. Jacob has thrown up a red flag that I don't think can be put down for me. He's new on my list, but he's really high, and I think one of those two are the mole.
Is it because he said he did well with Joy? Is that the red flag?
Yeah.
The clap. The golf clap.
Good for you. 7 miles. I had to drive in a car with Joy. So who's the real loser here?
JD, have your opinions changed?
I forget who. I think I said Jacob. I said Jacob, Joy, and Kasi last night, I believe.
It sounds right. I mean, honestly,
I'll never rule out Joy either, though.
I'm sticking with that. Jacob is still doing like very subtle things if he is the mole, and doing a great job at just like very subtly taking money away from the pot. Joy, there was a plane in episode 1. I'm becoming more. Joy's a pilot. I mean,
don't think that's gone over my head. I've been trying to avoid looking for the clues. You know how like they used to do them.
Yeah.
1, we don't even know they're gonna do that, and 2, I feel like I was driving myself up a wall trying to find any.
And if you asked me like 2 days ago, I would have been of the opinion that Joy is just too obvious of a mole. But like it's so consistent that it's kind of like coming back around to where being obvious is becoming suspicious.
Yes.
So,
so good.
I mean, if that's like the 5D level chess Joy is playing, like I like hats off to her, like incredible. And then Kasi, kind of the same thing. Like she's kind of been ramping up, if she is the mole, ramping up like her level of sabotage, which I'm not sure is necessary considering how bad the team is doing on its own. I'm not sure if Kasi's the mole, if she needs to be giving any sort of extra push. I mean, she was the one person who dropped the bag on the train team. She did miss the names. I mean, I'm not sure if we want to just chalk it up to human error or if she actually noticed them and like intently like decided to skip past them. But I mean, Kasi is one of the bigger question marks, so you can't not consider her.
Yeah, one of my moles went home. So I guess it's not Sandy
too. I was really thinking it could be Sandy too, and they got me good.
Oh, I forgot to mention this. So again, I was on Instagram today and on the moles page, and sorry, I'm laughing just thinking about this, but on Dom's like player profile on their grid, the only comment that's visible is Sandy saying, "Let's go, Dom," with like 5 exclamation points.
Knowing good and well how it's gonna go.
They go out 1 and 2. Oh, that's so sad.
Oh, that is really funny.
I saw it, I screenshot it. I cannot remember who I sent it to. I just was so entertained by it. Like, Sandy, man.
Best of luck. Yeah.
So
that's like seeing an Instagram comment from Joy. She's like, I hope we win a lot of money.
Yeah. So when I saw that, it made me laugh. It was good. All right. So I'm sorry that Sandy's not still here because she was one of my moles. So I think it is getting to the point where it's hard to have a 3. I can understand having a 3, but I think I'm going to narrow it down to 2, which is Joy, because again, she's still here. Like, Joy has been the best mole that this show has seen, whether or not she is a mole. And by best mole, I mean by like literal directions. Like, Joy is Dom's best mole, is the best way of putting it. You know, how Dom thinks like you need to,
as
if there's a
straightforward
penny
as
in
Dom
there.
was.
Yeah. Like, Joy is Dom's best mole.
I swear, production's probably checking their notes. They're like, "Is Joy the mole? Does Joy think she's the mole?" They're like, "Did someone tell Joy she's the mole?"
Do two people think they're the mole right now?
Yeah. Joy, we have to tell you you're the mole. You don't just be the mole.
She was like, "What?" She's
but
like,
you
I
did
decided.
tell me.
I could have swore I mentioned it early on. I was like, "I'm gonna be the mole."
I'm sure they put the directions in a map and she's confused. So
it messed it all up.
My second, I think I have to say that Kasi has moved up for me. Just because, again, like, I have a hard time with you not at least being like, there's a name Locks on here. Why don't we try unlocking the lock one? Like, to me, not having that, she also didn't see the dinghy.
She didn't
when they were flying by.
I thought Avery was like verbally like, I'm not seeing it on purpose. I was like, there's someone behind you.
Yeah.
I was like, you're not the only one looking out that window.
You've got her not being able to get the thing off that Greg did easily twice. So I don't know. I think that she has some
blunders,
mole potential. Let's put it that way. I'm also going to put this out there that Alex, because I'm not going to say it on the podcast, but there is at least one person who has some of those clues that you were talking about towards them that I might have already ruined the TV show for someone by telling them about this.
Okay.
But I'm not 100% set that those clues could be real, but there are people hunting for them. I'm not going to say...
I had to stop. I was looking in 1 and 2 and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go along for the ride. Because like I said, you just can't tell what is and isn't a clue. And it's like, why even bother trying to figure this out? I will say that pilot plane one, though, was the first one. I was like, oh, is this a clue?
That's the only one I'm willing to accept, is that there's a plane in episode 1, so it's Joy.
Yeah, because then it's Joy. Yeah.
So that's it. I'm done searching for clues. I'm taking
that's
everything at face value from here on out. So yeah, that's where I stand. But that is episode 5. We talked episodes 1 through 4 in here. We talked a little bit of Netflix. We talked a little bit about everything. This was a very good way to round up our 5 episodes. Alex, you are a phenomenal guest to have on here. I'm so glad we had you. Can you tell us what you are doing on the internet these days? I wonder if I still have you. Hold on.
There we go.
1 second. I just scrolled by you. There we go.
There it is. You can follow me basically anywhere at a Wild Briz. Don't even know my own name. And I tweet about reality TV. I do some things on Instagram. I'm starting to I just did my first one. I'm playing Settlers of Catan. If you guys know the board game, I've been playing with some reality stars. I've been getting that up on Twitch. So the first one I did was with me, Jack from The Circle, and then Xander from Survivor and Omer from Survivor as well. So we had a good time. Xander ended up winning. That son of a gun. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, so that on Twitch. Just hanging out, mostly just watching TV and talking about it. I have my own podcast where we talk about cartoons. Easy name called Two Dudes Watch Cartoons. You can find us on any major, podcast platform. But yeah, that's what I'm up to these days. Just hanging and watching TV when I can.
We appreciate.
Thank you guys for having me here.
Yeah.
I actually right away when I saw you guys were podcasting, I was like, I would very much like to be on an episode or all of them. Yeah, I was like, I could talk about this for hours.
We were very happy that you were able to come on.
I got distracted by Matthew. He said that the clues are there and he thinks it's 100. I ruined it for Matthew. That's really who.
Don't look for the clues. So Matthew is convinced he knows now. Okay.
Yeah, because I showed him. I was like, well, here's this. Because Matthew's like into that type of stuff and knowing it, but then he's like, now I don't want to know. Bye.
Yeah.
So,
I was listening to a
sorry,
little bit of you guys.
Matthew.
I haven't finished the episode from last time, but yeah, I've been listening to it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going in reverse order, I guess. I've finished this episode of the podcast. Now I gotta finish 4 and then 3. And, yeah. But yeah, I just thank you guys again for having me. Like I said, I could talk about this all the time. And I think honestly, more than anything, just like talking about it is so fun because, like I said, how many times did I change my mind, my thought process, picked up on new things that I didn't see before?
Mhm.
It's an exercise in like everything I love about reality TV.
Yeah, and it was funny because when JD and I were talking about doing this, and I was like, I've had like quite a few people reach out to say that they're
Yeah.
interested in talking about it. You were one of the first ones, and I was like, oh, that'd be really cool, just with your history with Netflix as well. So no, this has been great. JD, are you doing anything new since yesterday on the internet?
Not. I am still tweeting the most vapid shit in the world. So if for some reason you're interested in that, you can follow me at Dead Crush. That's DEADCRSH on Twitter. If not here, that's where you'll find me. Come check me out. I'm not sure you'll enjoy it, but if you do,
tread carefully. Yeah.
Proceed with caution.
I'm KGD26, and that's on all the platforms. Officially, 46% of the 26 people who voted thought that I am the same height as Danny DeVito. I am appreciative that the next highest picked answer was taller, and then the last one was shorter. I do not think I'm shorter than Danny DeVito, so
that's good.
That's what I'm doing on social media
I will
right
take
now.
The tall or the same, please not shorter.
Yeah.
I'm confident that I am at least the same height as Danny DeVito. I tagged him too. I said, stand back to back with me. Like, let's figure this out.
We'll make this
all
happen.
I need.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I had this thought in the first place, because he like wasn't on my TV. I was sitting on the couch with my roommate. I was I'm like, do you think I'm the same height as Danny DeVito? And I'm like, let me ask Twitter.
Totally came out of nowhere. Yeah.
I have like, no explanation.
He's like, Matilda?
We were watching sports. Like, we were definitely watching sports.
So no one that even looked like Danny DeVito. Yeah.
Maybe
no,
it was a disguise
absolutely
somewhere.
not. That was it.
That's funny.
So when I'm not asking dumb questions on Twitter, I am silent podcasting. So like I mentioned, TJ Hates Quitters will be back Wednesday, with today's Monday. So in 2 days, we'll be covering the season premiere of season 38 of the challenge, Ride or Dies, and it will probably make me ride or die. So maybe more likely the latter. But we'll be there for the good, the bad, and the ugly for it. And Katie and I are, as always, podcasting weekly about the Real Housewives over on the Cool Water Show. So we just recorded this past weekend. This upcoming weekend, we are going to have Potomac in the mix, and we know that Potomac brings it every single episode. So I'm super excited to actually like sit down and watch that as well, because Potomac's just the best. So definitely check that out. Plus, we have a ton of stuff. If you haven't been looking at our YouTube, like we've had some really good interviews with some reality TV people, including the winner of Big Brother 24.
I was going to say some. The Taylor interview was awesome. I have not finished it just because I have so much media going on, but I literally have like 45, maybe 30 minutes left of it. It's a great interview. It's really good.
I was going to say it's only a 40-minute interview, so.
Oh, then I have less than that. Okay, I'm like almost done with it. Well, I didn't really, I thought it was longer than that. So it's a great interview, though. I'm basically done with it, I guess.
Yeah.
I fucking loved that interview. She's great. You guys did a great job interviewing her, too.
Yeah, our crew really killed it. And again, I give a lot of credit to the fact that we are able to put a diverse group together for people to listen to and talk to. So I imagine for Taylor, that is nice to come into a group of 4 where you have 3 Black people, specifically 1 Black woman to talk to and have a better understanding than just like 2 white men. So
not to name names.
Listen,
I'll name them. Just kidding.
So, yeah, I definitely give credit to the cast we've assembled
Their
over here
YouTube
for...
thumbnail looks like mugshots. Sorry, I had to say it. Go on.
Uh,
They look like mugshots. They're just. I swear to God. Okay, go on. I'm sorry.
We also had an interview with Monty. I haven't listened to that one yet, but I've heard great things about it there as
That
well.
was also a good interview.
And our crew just did a wrap up of the season earlier today. So if you're just looking for the silent podcast opinion on Big Brother 24, especially from people who got to talk to the first place winner and the runner up, I think that is a great listen. So check out our YouTube. We have all of that plus everything that we stream on there. Great. So search us on YouTube or Twitch. I prefer YouTube, Silent Podcast. And you can follow us on Twitter, silent_podcast, where we tweet out what we're doing and, just how you can get the links to all of our stuff. If you listen to us in podcast form, we only take 5 stars. If it's not 5 stars, keep it moving. But like I said on my Twitter today, I think that all of our content for the mole has been 5 stars. We've had awesome guests who brought really great content, opinions, insight, jokes, like everything about this has been phenomenal. So if you aren't rating us 5 stars, what's your issue? It's a you problem, not an us problem.
You're a mole.
Yep.
You're the mole.
You're the mole.
More or less.
Straight up.
Just trying to take away from the pot. We see your game.
We definitely are deserving of your stars. So make sure you do that. Leave us a review. Tell us what you like. Don't mention anything you don't like. We are not looking to improve over here. So just kidding. You can, we'll take it too. But again, listen to us in all those forms. Follow us. Do all the interaction. Tweet us what your mole opinions. I am public. I will take your opinions and either destroy them or agree with you. So I'm here. I'm ready.
Come at her.
I will respond if I love your take and ignore it if I don't. No.
Listen, depending on the night, I don't know if you saw me the season premiere of Survivor, but I was just putting idiots on blast left, right, and center because...
No, I missed that, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, my mentions didn't miss it because it was a mess.
Yeah,
A war
I can
zone.
imagine. Yeah, people on Twitter after that. Although this season of Survivor has been interesting so far. Yeah, that first episode though was something.
Yeah, I tweeted, "Oh, we're 43 seasons in and we're still voting out the woman of color over the white erratic man. Wow, are sick." And that made a lot of people angry with me, to which
I'm sure
all of their racist shit they said back, I just quote tweeted them and put them on blast. So again,
absurd. This guy's got an idol. He's saying he's going to use a shot in the dark. He's going to be medevaced any day now. Like, come on.
What are you? Like, what's going on here?
No, but I can't imagine people have bad opinions about this. Though, if you do, like, I just don't get it. So
it feels like back in my day complaints more than anything.
Well,
I know,
listen,
and
I
I'm
know.
not a fan of those type of complaints. Times are a changing.
I'm sorry that you still walk uphill barefoot in the snow to
ways.
school both ways. Like, I'm sorry that you have to endure that.
7 miles.
Of us,
7 miles. We had to run.
Sorry you have to do that. I'm sorry that we're getting our news via phones, even if we are eliminated or still in the game, and it's not whatever they used to do. I'm so sorry. But
I love it.
Yeah,
it shines on their face. I actually think it's great. I think it's awesome. It's dramatic. It's perfect.
I actually thought the first episode that they had like battery symbols in the middle of the screen because they couldn't have like Apple symbols, and then I saw it was their name, and I'm like, oh, that makes a lot more sense than like
it kind of
you need to
does.
charge
Like,
your
I thought it was like,
phone.
are these phones charging? Are they charging right now? Yeah, I thought the same thing.
I thought it was a battery. All right, I'm glad that
where do I
someone
get a
else
table
had
like
that
that
thought.
where you just put your phone on the table and it charges?
You have that at like Starbucks and stuff where they have like the
fancy.
little circular thing, and you put that on. Yeah, it's possible. Again, it's 2022. We can do lots now. We can do lots. All right, let's wrap this up. We've been talking your ears off for nearly 2 hours. Thanks again for listening. We appreciate you all. And again, Alex, thanks for being here. We will catch you next week with 3 new guests coming in, and then who knows what's happening for the finale, but we will catch you next weekend. Bye.